He wanted me to sleep with another man, not just any man, a black man, and not just sleep with him, but allow my husband to watch. My name is Chloe, and I am a 37-year-old married woman living in the suburbs of Houston, Texas. I have been with my husband Mason for nearly 15 years. We have built a quiet life, stable, comfortable, and safe. Maybe too safe. Mason is a software engineer, logical Komingi. I'm a stay-at-home wife now, ever since our daughter left for college. I used to teach at an elementary school, but something inside me faded when the house became quiet, the silence, a room for something darker, something I had ignored for years. Desire. It started as harmless teasing. Mason would mention things during pillow talk, wild fantasies, threesomes, roleplay, even being a kook. Letty would roll my eyes, kiss his neck, and dismiss it as nothing serious, but over time the tone shifted. The idea kept coming back. He started saying names, describing scenes in detail. He sto rudiking about Henry. He told me they met at the gym. Said Henry was different, confident, dominant. Mason said watching Henry with his wife had changed how he saw sex. He said Henry could do thin Geesey never could, and that maybe I deserve it to feel that too. I asked if this was about him not being enough. He said no, Hesed. It was about freeing me, about giving me something unforgettable, about letting go of shame and just feeling. I did not believe him until the night at the restaurant. He said Henry was upstairs, waiting at the hotel suite. Thoth had already spoken with him, that he and Ree had agreed to take me. Mason paid the bill. I walked out of that restaurant trembling, but I followed him anyway. The elevator ride up felt like forever. I stared at my reflection in the mirrored walls, lipstick, perfect hair, curled ice wide, and frightened. My heart begged me to run, my thighs begged me to stay. The hotel door opened before Mason could have been knocked. There stood Henry, shirtless in black joggers. His chest was broad, carved, and covered in tattoos. He looked him dead in the eyes and smiled like he had already owned me. He said nothing, just stepped aside and let me in. The room smelled like cologne and sweat. Dim lights, champagne on ice, one bed, massage down in the corner armchair. Without a word, he looked excited. Henry walked over to me, placed a hand on my hip, and whispered in my ear, if you want me to stop, say the word, otherwise you are mine tonight. I did not say stop. I did not say anything. He kissed me hard, took control to the straps of my dress from Miss, and let it fall. I was before him in seconds. His hands were firm, aching. He lifted me like I weighed anything and laid me on the bed, and when I saw him remove his joggers, everything changed. 12 and thick, heavy, pulsing. My body froze, my mind raced, but my soul, all was already gone. Henry touched my Kenway, touched Mike no one ever had. He read every gasp, every arch, every moan. He knew how to ruin me gently, and my husband watched, stroking himself slowly, eyes wide with own D. I lost count of how many times I lost track of time completely. Ears slipped by, sweat dripped, my voice cracked. My body was not mine anymore. It was Henry's canvas, and he painted me wittage. His rhythm. By the time he collapsed beside me, my legs were numb. My husband walked over, kissed my forehead, and whispered, thank you. I turned to Henry, smiled, and I knew in that moment I was never going to be the same again. I woke up sore, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. My body acted in places I never knew could. My throat was raw from moaning, my thighs were still trembling, and my soul it was somewhere between guilt and craving. Mason lay next to me, still asleep, on arm lazily draped over my waist. I turned to look at him, peaceful, content, smiling in his sleep like a man who had just lived out a dream. But my mind was not on him, it was on Henry. It was on his deep voice, the calm and in grip of his hands, the heaviness of his body on mine, and the stretch that had broken something wide open inside me. He had touched on nerve I never knew existed, and now I could not forget it. I did not want to. Mason kissed me on the shoulder when he woke up and said, you were amazing. I smiled weakly, but the truth was I had not been pretending, I had not been performing. I had been devoured, Auni Dunlished, and I wanted it again. That afternoon Mason made us breakfast in the hotel room. We acted like a regular couple on a weekend getaway, but I was distracted. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Henry's face hovering over me. I felt his breath on my neck, his voice echoed in my ears, had haunted me. Later that week, Mason brought him up again, Hesed. Henry wanted to see me again. It tried to act unsure, to seem like I was not desperate, but the truth was I had already dreamed about it every night since we met. Henry, the next Saturday at a luxury Airbnb Mason had rented just outside town, secluded, private, clean white sheets and scented candles. Mason brought wine, and said he would stay in the corner again. Henry arrived late, walked in like he owned the place, like had just stepped out of a music video, wore a simple black t-shirt that clung to his chest. And gray sweats that did not hide much. He looked at Mesmold and said, miss me. I did not respond. I just walked up to him and pressed my lips to his. This time, it was different, slower, deeper. He took his time and dressed me with patience, kissed every inch of my skin, and aired things in my ear that made me melt. He bent me over the couch, spread my legs apart, and slid into me with ease, as if my body had been waiting for him. Mason watched it silently again, but this time something was different in his eyes. Still there, but so was something else. Something sharp, maybe jealousy, maybe regret, but I did not care. My body no longer belonged to my husband. Not in thought moment. Henry whispered my name. Like a secret prayer. His strokes were slow at first, teasing me, building me up to thiege, then crashing into me until I screamed I could not hold back. I moaned so loud, I bit into the pillow to muffle its sound, but Mason heard it all, every second, every plea, and he never looked away. When it ended, I collapsed on the floor, legs, shaking lips, and Henry sat beside me, pulled me into his chest, and stroked my hair gently. Mason walked over, kissed my forehead again, but this time, his lips lingered. He said, "He makes yo feel things I never could. Does he know?" He said nothing. He already knew things were. After that night everything changed. Henry began texting me directly, just checking in. He said just saying hello, but his words always came with heat. I tart responding late at night. When Mason was asleep, I would reread our conversations in the bathroom, my heart racing, my fingers wandering. I was becoming addicted. One afternoon, Henry sent a message, "Want to see me without Mason?" I stared at it for almost an hour, and then I said yes. They met at a hotel near the edge of the city. No cameras, no questions, just raw, dangerous lest the in. I walked in. Henry grabbed me against the wall, and kissed me like he had been SDRving for me that night. There was no slow build-up, no candles, no wine, just pure raw passion. He bent me over the dresser, pulled my skirt up, pushed my panties aside, entered me in only smooth motion. It was rough, wild, filthy. I screamed his name. He growled me. We both lost control. I came 3 times before he did. When I got home that night, Mason was in the living room watching TV. He asked me if I had fun shopping. I nodded. He smiled, but I could not meet his eyes. I showered that night with the water burning hot, scrubbing Henry send off my skin, but it was already too deep. He had buried himself inside me deeper than anyone ever hated, not just physically, emotionally. Mason started to notice I was distracted during dinners, distant in bed. I touched myself more than I touched and I stared at my phone like a teenager, waiting for a crush to text back. One night he finally said it. "You are falling for him, aren't you?" I froze. I tried to deny it, but I could not lie. "I do not care now," he whispered. He stood up and walked away. That was the first time he did not kiss me forehead. After I started seeing Henry more, I stopped telling Mason. At first I felt guilty, but soon I just felt Henry brought something out of me I never knew existed. He made me feel powerful, sexy, desired. He took control in ways that made me want to and I did. One night Henry looked at me while I was lying naked in his bed, and said something I never expected. "I could steal you if I wanted to." I laughed, but deep down I was not sure if I wanted to be stolen. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and let the warm bath water soothe my aching body, but no amount of rose and soap, or gentle husbandly touch, could wash away what had already taken root deep inside me. I washes Henry even when Mason was the one touching me. It was Henry I felt when Mason kissed me softly on the cheek. All I wanted was Henry rough lips on my neck. Every gentle caress only reminded of the wildness sigh, the craved weeks past, and the secret I had tried to keep from my husband became a new way of life. At first Mason acted like he did notice. Maybe he was in denial, maybe thought it was just a phase that I would get it out of my system, but I did not. I went deeper. Henry started calling late at night. Sometimes I would sneak out while Mason slept. Other times I would lie and say I was going to yoga or brunch, but all I wanted was him. Henry never treated me like a fragile wife. He talked to me like a craving. He took me like a secret. I was no longer the woman I was someone new, someone dangerous. And night Henry came to our house. Mason invited him. I almost choked when I saw him at the door. Mason opened a bottle of wine, played music, asked Henry to ask I tend make himself comfortable. My hands trembled as I poured the wine. I knew what was happening. Mason had not lost. He had given it away. After dinner Mason leaned back on the cushion and said something that changed everything. "I want to watch again, but this time I want to see how far you will go." His voice was calm, cold, like a man watching a game. Instead of his wife to betray him under his roof, he looked at Henry.